yeah, if you haven't seen the meeting minutes, we'll keep dropping that link in chat for those to keep joining. Just make sure you sign in there. There's also a lot of links. So when you hear us reference documents, that's where we're talking about referencing them from. I mean, I can share my screen if we need to, if anybody can't see or somebody else can. But follow up from last meeting, we talked about the SPIN partnership, which is Stay Plugged In, the largest college recruiting platform in the country. So there's lots of opportunities that affords us. Some of them are linked there in the document, and Dylan's been sending out the Carity College tournaments coming up. That's a good online one for across the country. It's free. The kids get a free weekend membership, like premium membership for Spin too. So definitely worth checking out. There's a town hall meeting coming up on the 31st. That's linked in the document as well. This is a meeting for parents and students to come and learn more about what Stay Plugged In is, what their opportunities are, how they can connect with college coaches, basically to give parents an in. I know, at least in my program, I'm not the best at involving parents, but Spin is really intentional about involving parents in this process. So giving them an opportunity to hear, what sorts of opportunities there are in college esports, what the recruiting options are now, and having the parents be involved. So that is on the 31st of January at 7 Eastern. The link is there. Dylan, anything else you want to say about that since you've been talking with Kyle? Yeah, so we'll keep mentioning those things in like our weekly updates and things like that. But they're all there in that document for you to get. We announced state finals. The location was Ball State on April 29th. So start talking to your administration now about those dates. It's the 29th. Dylan's got a little one-page document that we'll be sending out soon. Ball State's making a pretty one, a marketing one that we'll make sure gets marketed. but we want to get you just a one-page draft of what the day is going to look like so you can start planning all of those things. We'll get you that later today or early tomorrow morning so you can start having conversations with your admin. One of the biggest changes is it's not just competitions for finals. We're doing a lot of other things involving like coaching training sessions and panels, Q&A for some of those sorts of things. It'll be a full day event. Lunch is being provided by Ball State for all the students that are there. There'll be tours like of the college or having different colleges from Ball State talking to students about what they offer. Admissions counselors will be there. Um, Different reps from different companies will be there if you want to talk about building out your esports space. So it really will be a full day event for everyone, even if you're not competing. So consider what that looks like for you and your school. If you have questions about it, we can talk, but we want to get you as much information as we can, as early as we can, so you can start having those conversations with administrators, start looking at buses and all those sorts of logistics. So more information will keep rolling out, but that one pager will come out either later today or tomorrow with the basic information you need to start having those conversations. We talked about spring registration as well. We'll kind of get into some of those things. And then we took nominations for competition council and for the board of directors. So we'll start with that. The competition council is kind of like the I don't want to use the word competition again, but it's the group that oversees league decisions, rulings for things, starts evaluating what it looks like to maybe change the games that we offer, evaluating rule sets, comparing with what other organizations and leagues are doing. So more minded on competition directly, whereas the board kind of oversees organization and logistics. So the current competition council who are all willing to continue are Rick from Anderson, Trevor from Minn Davis, Anthony from Northside Middle School, Nick from Portage, and Carrie from Lawrenceburg. Also, we have Chase from insert name of university that he just moved to here. Yeah, there you go. So that's the current competition council. We had one person put their name in to be in the competition council, and that was Carlos from Michigan City. So we're going to hold a verbal vote for those members of the competition council now. So what we always hate doing in meetings, everybody go ahead and unmute their mic. And if you are in favor of those members of the competition council, say aye.
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 And now
Aye.
everybody gets to be muted again. And if you're opposed, no. Great. So that is the current slate for the Competition Council. If you're interested in learning more about what the Competition Council does, just go ahead and ask, and we can explain that. If you're interested in being involved in the Competition Council, this is a yearly thing in January where we will evaluate roles. So that's not to say that it's the only time that could happen. If a special need arises, there might be an opportunity to add to the Competition Council before then. But be considering how you might want to be involved in a leadership role. And be considering what feedback you can provide. We'll come back to feedback more later, but Competition Council in general is kind of tasked with organizing that feedback, especially in terms of rule sets and games offered. So you can feel free to ping them with your comments and suggestions. Board updates. Is it weird for me to do this one too? Great. Ben, you're the president. You get to do this one.
Hey, you can go for it, buddy. You're on a roll, and we're really appreciating the roll. I'm just relaxed,
okay.
man.
So for those of you that are new-ish to IEN, the structure has changed fairly substantially over the last year or so. So we're governed by a board of directors, which is the five of us that you see all the time posting and commenting on stuff. We're all equally yoked and involved. We just come up with titles more for interacting with other groups and for legal purposes. So what we found is that interacting with other organizations is a little bit strained when we're like, oh, I'm a member of the board of directors, I'm the treasurer, blah, blah, blah. Because they're used to having like a CEO or a director level position that they interact with. So I have donned the mantle of director of IEN. which just means that I'm the one predominantly interacting with outside organizations, and that's who they kind of see as being in charge. Functionally, nothing changes for us as a board. We're all equally sharing responsibilities. What we want to make sure we communicate is this is not like a silo leader thing where everything needs to come through me and I'm the only one that makes decisions, because that's not going to happen. Um, Feel free to continue talking to whichever board member you closely associate with and have been communicating with, and we share and talk anyway. So functionally, nothing's different. You might see me sign things as director of IEN. That's about it. Questions on that? Great. James, shut up. Great. Moving on. Dylan, you're up with social media stuff. Yeah, that's one of the things that's been really hard is like the content generation side of things. I mean, other orgs do it better because they're not as focused on, providing you guys with the resources that we do. So I think it'll be good to be able to offer some of those like PR sort of marketing facing items that'll help us grow as a league. So I'm excited about that. Next is the feedback form. It's linked, and I kind of mentioned feedback before. So this is an opportunity for you to provide specific feedback to the board of directors. If you want to share something with the competition council, we can use that too and share that with them. This could be anything from, I think this rule set is bad, you should think about this, or I think the schedule didn't work, you should consider this, to why don't we offer this game. Whatever sorts of things you want to share, you can feel free to do that there. You can choose to make it anonymous, but if you want feedback and follow up with your comment, then obviously we need to be able to contact you. So your choice on whether you provide that or not. But that's there specifically because we're beginning to evaluate the calendar for next school year. So if you have thoughts about the calendar, that's a good place to drop that and give us feedback. You can obviously still use Discord and stuff as well, but this will be a one place for us to be able to look at and conglomerate all those comments together. So again, anonymous or not, your choice.
Yeah,
Whatever the
please,
feedback is.
please use it though, guys. I mean, we've had it for a while and we never had anybody really use it, so we'd love to actually get some data from it. So yeah,
Yep.
please use it.
So we're not by any means trying to say that we have everything figured out and we don't want any feedback. So go ahead and feel free to use that. Newsletter mailing list. If you're not getting the weekly newsletter or the other emails that Dylan sends out, make sure you contact Dylan to be added to that. We're looking at making that system a little bit more robust and opt-in. So that's one of the projects we have too. But for now, if you feel like you're not in the know about things, check your spam folder, because based on the distribution software we use, it could be going there. But if you're not getting it at all, reach out and contact Dylan so we can make sure you're added to that list.
Yeah, if you've recently inherited a esports program or something, then you might not be getting those. So that's why too. So make sure you reach out there.
Spring season reminders. So this might take a little bit of time, but spring season started. Hopefully that's not news to anybody. We're in week 1 of the spring split, which is week 7 on a lot of schedules. So remember, we're not doing separate seasons fall and spring. It is one full year-long season that is split up into the 2 semesters. Standings carry over for 1 state finals. So yes, while this is week 1 of this split, it's week 7 of the overall season. So what that means is in rule documents that we put out in the calendar, you're going to see week 7. On UGC, because it's a different league, you're going to see week 1. Yeah, we realize that there's discrepancies. It is what it is, and it's the best we can do. There are potentially options moving forward to have a more robust solution for these sorts of things, and we'll be vague enough to leave it at that for now, I think. Um, yep. So Discord roles and names. Make sure if you're in Discord, you have a tag that is your school name. An easily identifiable school name, not a random acronym that makes sense to you but not other people. I mean, you don't have to type out every character in your school name, but it should be abundantly obvious that everyone can tell who's who. There are multiple schools now that are like Jeff, so just even doing JEFF for Jeff is probably not going to cut it. So make sure you have a unique and identifiable name. If you need help with being like, I don't know what that is, ask, and we can be sure to help you based on what other school names are. Yeah, if you put those brackets in front with your name, that's great. You can have whatever you want after that. I mean, ideally, it's professional and at least closely related to your actual name. But the school tag is really important.
Joe, can I disagree with you for a second?
Yeah.
I don't want just anything after that. You really should have your first and last name there. So that is some coaches are searching for you in Discord, and to have a first name or a last name there, that is going to be another way to search, an easier way to find you as a coach. I've nominated myself to be the Discord handle police. So in the next week or so, I'm probably going to be sending direct messages to people who I think need to change their Discord profile. And so if you get a message from me, don't be offended. Just change your profile name, please.
And the thing is, too, if you have multiple servers, you do not have to change it for your whole Discord account. You can change it just for the IEN server and keep your name for your other servers that you're in.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, if you guys don't know how to do that, reach out to one of the board members. Will help you. I think there is a thing in the welcome channel, too, that says it there. But if you don't know how to change your server nickname, that's not a big deal. Just reach out to one of us and we'll help you there.
Carlos, you have a question?
Yeah, regarding that, do you think it would be very wise just to have whatever's in UGC in a sense for like the school. So like tonight I played Franklin, like it would basically match what's in UGC because that's how I'm looking personally for that coach to contact them to set up stuff. I'm matching what's off of UGC, and the issue I'm coming in, I'm searching what I see there and it's not matching to Discord, so it's kind of hard. And that's where I'm reaching out like, who's the coach of this? So do you think that we should just have those match then? Would be just a good rule of thumb?
Yes, that would be the ideal.
Yeah, and going forward, we may look at having some sort of naming scheme for the team names in UGC. That way, we're able to find people easier. I just posted one in chat that may be kind of a scheme we want to go with. But just having, the title that the team is, the school name, and whether it's varsity, JV, or club would probably be best so that schools can reach out.
Yeah, it's really hard to find when there's no personally identifiable information in a team name, right? I mean, you can, if you want to internally make fun names for your teams, that's great, but it's not really helpful for that to be the name on UGC. Yeah, printed out versions of coach contacts is good too. Yeah, team names we kind of talked about. Again, something identifiable to your school. Coach contact, we're hitting on that too. If you don't have a good email address that you're getting things from, then that's probably going to be helpful to make sure you get on that contact list because we can use those to help other coaches reach out as well. Some people can't access Discord on the school network. They need to use the UGC site or email. We understand those situations pop up, but if we don't have other contact info for you either, then it's hard to get that to coaches. So make sure that you're trying different forms and avenues of coach contact. Discord is the easiest for most of us, but it doesn't work for everyone. So if you don't hear from the other coach when you think you might have, check UGC, check email, and check those other avenues too.
And I would also say that
Jill will just make that coach contact sheet, by the way, if you need the copy of that.
I would also say another helpful thing with that is to try and contact the coach early. Day of, oftentimes it's too late because they might, I mean, you're all teachers, that you don't always have your computer in front of you when you're with your kids. So that if they're on Discord or email, that might not be best. So several days ahead of time is going to be the best time to try and contact a coach to start that line of communication to get your match set up and squared away.
You beat me to it, Nick. The same thing I was going to say.
Yep. Week numbers we talked about. Again, follow the calendar for rules and those sorts of things. Like Super Smash Brothers tonight was a conversation. What week are we in? Follow the calendar for week numbers. UGC is the only thing that's going to be different. This week was week 1, and it started counting from there. So if you're confused.
Sorry, Joe. As we get into those break weeks, you're going to notice that the week numbers are going to be a little different too. Luckily, well, I guess we do have now we have spring break before postseason, so you don't have to worry about that. But that President's Day week, you're going to notice there's going to be an extra week in the schedule because of that break. So.
Yeah, and like I said, we understand that it's not ideal. If you're confused about something, ask. We're not going to harp on you and be like, we covered this. And we get it. It's confusing.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that too. Like, if you guys get to any point and you're like confused about anything, please reach out to the board or somebody and say, hey, am I doing this right? Or I don't understand this. Can you explain this to me? We'll be more than willing to do that. So please do that.
Reschedules. There's lots of questions coming up about reschedules. There is a rescheduling function in UGC. You do not need to use it. You and the opponent coach agree. Hey, we can't play this match right now. We're going to reschedule for such a time and date. That's great. Do it, get it played, and report. You don't need to let us know. You don't need to go into UGC and do that. I mean, if you want to drop one of us a DM and just say, hey, just FYI, this match hasn't been played yet because we rescheduled it, that's great. There's a chance one of us reaches out to you eventually and is like, hey, this match hasn't been played. Do you have a plan for it? But you don't need to do anything formal on UGC. Just make sure you get it played and reported eventually. That's for varsity and JV. There should be no reschedules for club. And we'll reiterate this when we get to the club section later. But the whole point of club is if you're ready to play that day, you check in and you play. And if you're not, you don't. So there should never be an opportunity or like a situation arise where you have to reschedule a club match. If that happens, somebody screwed up. So if you're ready to play for a club match on that day, great. If not, there's no penalty. You're not like losing points. No reschedules, no forfeits, theoretically for club. Yes. Spring unified season. Oh, well, I guess questions. Any questions about those reminders? Board members, anything I missed?
And that's high school, right? Because middle school is club level and we can reschedule things if we need to, right?
Correct. Yeah, middle school can reschedule stuff. There's no club for it, so to speak of. Yeah, there's no point system for club either, guys, at the high school level, so you're not missing or losing points or anything if you're not in that week or anything like that. So there's no points to be worried about or anything. So
yeah, I mean, and if you're worried about missing match time, you're like, well, I still want to get a match generated so my kids can play. I just reach out and scrim another coach, jump in the Discord and say, hey, we didn't get to play a club match this week. Anybody got any matches they want to play or players available for a scrim? Varsity points in UGC, yeah, club, there is no postseason for club. So, I mean, bragging right, sure. You want to be like, hey, we won all of our club matches. Congratulations. But club does not lead to a postseason. So the standings are there purely for arbitrary internet points. Anything else? We're booking. It's going to be a quick meeting. Spring Unified. Nick, you want to do that?
Yeah. Unified esports, for those of you guys who do not know that, it is an opportunity to build some social interactions between students that have special needs and students that don't have special needs. And we partner with Special Olympics of Indiana to host a unified esports league. In the fall, we did Rocket League, and right now we're doing Super Smash Brothers. We just had our meeting yesterday for that. And so if you are still interested in this, that's an opportunity for you. Just reach out to me, and I can get you set up with Tori, the person who's kind of our contact at Special Olympics. But just to describe Smash Brothers super quick, we're using the same format, same rule set for crew battles, 4v4, but we're going to have 2 athletes and 2 partners. Athletes are defined by those that have a disability, and partners are students that do not have a disability. And so it's a way of getting them together, working together, and encouraging some social interaction between those 2 groups. Let me know if you have any questions or if you're interested in joining. Unified season starts. We have registration basically this week and next week, and then we have a tech week, and then the first week of play is actually February 6th.
I just put that link in the chat as well.
Thank you.
Questions about Unified? Cool. Club procedures, again. So the point of club is, 1, for new schools who are joining, to get an idea for what running esports looks like, to help get kids to recognize, hey, this is an organized thing that I actually have to show up at every week, and for you to test out technology and make sure you have the bandwidth to accomplish what you actually want to accomplish with your program. Also, some schools just like to have a lower stakes environment where the kids are playing instead of that at the varsity level. All those things are fine. So, but the point of club is, again, if you're there that week and ready to play, you play. And if you're not, you don't. So the check-in system on UGC, when the UGC servers don't have DNS problems, is pretty easy. You go to your team's page and you hit the check-in button. If we continue to have issues like we did today, we'll come up with another solution in Discord, and the board can go in and manually add teams. I'm hoping it's resolved. We'll find out tomorrow night for Rocket League. But again, a reminder for how that works is I'll post a message in the announcement channel on Discord as close to 4 o'clock as I can based on my schedule that says, hey, if you want to play in a club match, go to this link and check in. You can't check in before 4, because if you do that, at 4 o'clock, I'm going to go in and clear everybody who's checked in. Again, the point is not, oh, yeah, I want to have a match today. The point is I have kids here ready to go, and we're playing a match today. So that's why we're checking in starting after 4 p.m. Eastern. When you check in, your little button changes to green and says you're checked in, ready to go. At 4:55, what we'll do is we'll go into the back end on UGC and hit a button that shuffles up all the teams who have checked in and generates matches. You'll then go back to your schedule page just like you would in any other league and find the match scheduled for that week. You can contact your opponent on Discord or on the UGC chat. You can report the score there. Again, all this is with the asterisk that it works like it's supposed to, not really like it did today. So if you aren't getting matched up for a club, it's because you're not checking in. If you need help doing that, ask one of us and let us know. You can check out the announcement channels for Valorant, League of Legends, and Smash Brothers and see what my example little announcement looks like. And it's got those links to the clubs. If you're not getting pinged based on my announcements or anybody else's announcements for roles, there is a role selection channel in Discord where you can react and get roles for specific games. So we're done pinging at everyone for Rocket League announcements, right? We should be mature enough as a server where we can just ping roles. So if you're not getting game specific announcements that you want, make sure you go to role selection and choose those roles. We will ping like school directors for the broader announcements and those sorts of things. We will ping everyone for the topics that apply to everyone. But for those granular things, you really need to have the right role selected. And club is one of the more important ones to get reminded when check-ins are.
And you guys don't have to worry about, you can have multiple roles, so you don't have to worry about like, oh wait, I have too many roles.
Yeah. Any questions about club, what that looks like, how to check in, any of that?
Sorry, real quick, you may have mentioned this, but is there a place to look at what roles you already have selected?
You can, how do you do this?
I believe if you click on your name in the sidebar, it'll show you the roles you have. Yeah. So if you find your name in the sidebar, the people bar on the right-hand side, click on it. It will show you the
come up with the whole list.
Yep, it'll show you all the roles you have.
That way, if you're missing one, you're like, oh wait, I need that role. You'll know by looking at that.
Cool. Anything else about club, about roles, Discord stuff? All right. AVGL wildcard qualifier, we kind of mentioned that. Is that just for Rocket League, Dylan?
There is still an Overwatch 2 wildcard as well. So.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's in sometime in February, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So later February.
Yeah, this is the only LAN that I've heard of that they'll pay to fly you out there if you make it to the LAN, and it's like a $40,000 prize pool. So definitely exciting. My kids had a blast when they played in the Rocket League one. So community opens. Nathan, you want to take that?
Yep. So community opens are a way that we kind of trial games, kind of gauge the popularity of games to maybe be added to an actual IEN season later on. Currently, right now, we have, and any school can host these, right? If you have a game that your students are really interested in playing, you yourself can host a community open, make a Google form, host a tournament on a Saturday, on a Friday when there's not much games going on and stuff, and see how popular that game is, right? Get your kids that chance to play in the game that we don't offer right now. Currently, 2 schools are hosting community opens. The first is Ben Davis High School with Apex. They're still in the process of seeing how many schools are interested. There is inside the Discord, the community open titles. If you go down to the Apex section, there is a post that you can react to, and he's currently working on putting up a Google form for interest. And then the second one is for Pokemon Showdown. That is going to be like competitive video game championship Pokemon doubles. And we're actually going to be doing that on a web browser. It's a lot more accessible than having all the kids having Nintendo Switches and all that. So it's a free browser-based system they can use. If you're interested in doing that, there is an interest form posted, linked in the meeting agenda notes here. and then we'll get some. Once we get that information, we'll send some more stuff out. But yeah, if your school is interested in doing it, you can contact us. We can help you set it up if you need to. But if not, you can just post inside the Community Open General and go from there.
And an update on, I mentioned a couple meetings ago about looking into doing a Minecraft type of community open. On that interest form, I think we only had 3 responses. So I've decided not to pursue that. I don't know if it'd be worth it for those 3 teams.
Also, I'll send out a, this is not on the agenda up there, guys, but I'll send out a message to all the Fortnite coaches pretty soon, probably by Friday. I think we'll jump to 4 people per battle royale for high school. With looking at numbers, and we'll see how that works. I've not overfilled a battle royale yet, so if that happens, hey, we'll deal with it. So.
Yeah. Anything else from board members that we missed you wanted to talk more about? And the other thing with that is they can change at the drop of a hat. So a publisher can be approached by a big for-profit company who's going to throw lots of money at them to get exclusive rights for their title, and then all of a sudden, boop, it's gone. And that could happen in the middle of a season, and we don't have any choice but to just stop. So keep in mind, a lot of this is a lot more complicated than any of us would like it to be, but it's the reality of the situation. In terms of, yeah. Yep, there's a lot that goes into it. The question about Overwatch. I have several emails out to Blizzard as the newly minted director of Indiana Esports Network that have been completely ignored. So, from what we've seen in the ISEA service from other circles too, like lots of people have applied for community licenses and talked to Blizzard months ago and haven't heard anything back. So, it's not something that we're ruling out. I mean, if they want to sit down and talk with us about what that might look like, that's great. But I'm not holding my breath, and I don't think anybody should be either. So I know we're willing to approach all of those conversations. Like, we can send as many emails and letters as you want. Trust me, I send lots of letters that get ignored. But that's the reality is if they don't see the value in providing this service to students, like it's not like we can wave a checkbook at them and say, oh, we'll pay you for the right to play. We don't have money, guys. Sorry. So if it comes down to that, we're always going to lose to the other big guys. But we can just tell them the benefits we see in hosting esports for students and what we are as a nonprofit, and that's what we can do. So in terms of Overwatch in particular, again, individual schools are welcome to host opens and tournaments that are organized by themselves. You can follow the community guidelines, and we can help you with what those are. we're painfully aware of what is and isn't allowed. If you want to host scrimmages, there's all kinds of opportunities. But in terms of an organized league, we are not allowed to do Overwatch in any way, shape, or form that makes it meaningful as an organization. Anything else from coaches? Opening it up for relevant questions for the whole group that you think we missed. If you have some, that's great. If you have more individual questions, you can hold them for a minute. And if there aren't big group questions, we'll end the meeting and stop the recording and then hang out and answer more individualized questions.
The dates for Unified Smash Bros. When that happens, does that coincide with other matches going on for Smash Bros. Or other games?
So the way Unified the coaches choose to do it in Unified is every week they have a match, but the coaches determine what day of the week that is going to be every week. So there is not a set day for Smash Brothers for Unified. So you can look at the calendar, the new calendar they send out, and that has the weeks listed that they're going to play. But as far as when you play that week, that'll be between you and the coach that get paired up that week on UGC. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
I was just worried. Sorry, I didn't get to my mute button, but I only have the 2 switches, and I have JV and varsity. So if it was going to be on a Wednesday, I wouldn't be able to do it. But
Yep.
that sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
Dorian, you have a question?
I guess two small questions. I guess one, I guess, being like the default start times. Is there anything ever been discussed about default start times being like earlier, and then like other issues with start times being like something you could do like later rather than I'm trying to explain this. Like if the default start times were earlier, and then if coaches couldn't make those, they would negotiate a later start time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we can
I think everybody,
reevaluate that.
for the most part, tries to do earlier, right?
I mean, it just depends. Like, I mean, we're in school until 4:10 Eastern, so I don't get
Right.
kids in the lab until 4:20, and then we get warm-up time and stuff like that. So it really just depends. You've got schools on Central Time Zone. They get out late, too, so it's harder for them. No one's ever going to be able to, like, have 100% agreement on a default start time. But, I mean, we can look at that and see, and maybe adjust a default time. You can give us feedback on that in that form if you want, and if there are enough people that make it difficult, we can try that. But
my point is just that I'm always open to start early. Usually like 4:30 to between 4:30 and 5, we're ready to start, just because the kids get out of school, such and such time, 3:30ish. So we're already practicing a half hour to an hour already. But like then it would be like, seem like you'd be negotiating less for a later start time than you are for earlier. You know what I'm saying?
I think maybe the central schools have the issues.
Right.
If you're at central school, I mean, I'm with you, Dorian. I'm typically ready to go at 4:15, 4:30, but if you're a central school, that's 3:30, and so that's why the 5 o'clock time is there. I just think the most important thing is if somebody, like in our situation, really wanted to do it earlier, if that's a priority for you, don't communicate that the day of.
Right.
That might be something that the week before you're saying, next week we're supposed to meet, and I would really like to start early, because I have a lot of coaches that are like, hey, you ready to go today early? I am, because of my situation. But if I wasn't, I'd be like, look, you're talking to me the day of. You've taken away my flexibility. You've tied my hands.
And that kind of goes on to the second part. The second question is maybe on UGC or even Discord in our bios, as coaches, we can probably put something like that in there that, hey, I'm available this time. Like I said, I'm guaranteed pretty much the same time all the time. So we could all put that and use that as a reference for other coaches to always look at that too.
And really,
I'm horrible. I usually do morning of contact coaches just because it's on UGC. I know who I'm playing that day. And I'm optimistic that everybody's ready that day. That's
the real reason for the default being later is sure, if you want to schedule earlier, that's great. But in the event that like somebody's like, well, no, I don't want to play earlier, we don't want to penalize the team for still being in school when the other team wants to start, right? So like that's why the default time is later. And sure, you can schedule earlier, great. But to have a default start time earlier where some schools are still in class, that won't work in terms of enforcing reschedules, like if there's ever a disagreement. So that's logistically why the start time is later.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but at least if it's at 5, your Central and your Eastern schools are usually out of school. So if it gets to the point where it's like somebody's like, hey, I tried to reschedule this over and over, and their school's like, well, we couldn't do it if it was earlier, say, because it's too close, then it's like we've got to make a decision, like who has to forfeit, right, or something. So that does help with like not usually running into that issues because it's at 5, just because it is later. So
Gotcha.